Creativity to me is being inspired and then intuitively understanding what to do with it so that it's realized as something that other people can actually regard. The drive to create, it comes from a very deep place. And I think that that's essentially something I've, for whatever reason, been put here to do. A production designer is the person who's responsible for designing the world the movie takes place in. But it's kind of a magic trick because it really is involved with creating the suspension of disbelief. If you're watching with the idea that you're watching what we've done, then you're not in the movie. You could be admiring the movie, but you're not in the movie. You're not empathizing with the characters. They're not meeting you halfway in that space that's not even on the screen. This is from my work on Castaway. That's a rock we put in. It's funny just to think about all the things that go into making a movie of one guy alone with a volleyball on an island, but how much actually is just outside the frame. My background is in fine arts and painting, mostly figurative and actually mostly portraits. But I also was a traveler at a young age, all the way back when I was 17 and 20 and 22, literally going around the world for a year at a time. That's what I've used as the basis as a production designer to create worlds and places so that I can actually have been inspired or go on location and find a place that inspires me in relationship to a movie, and then either take people there literally or create that or some aspect of that. Your process always evolves. For me, it's actually very important not to know what I'm doing, to actually be exploring at all times. Every movie is a different movie. It's a new exploration. I always go into it looking for that blank canvas to begin with, not preconceptions, and find that level that I can collaborate on. In Avatar, there was a lot of time spent looking out at the ocean, partly because it was such a vast world that we were creating that had so much scope that I often felt being next to the ocean and looking out, it was a way of getting a sense of how big of a world I was trying to help create. My eyesight is a very basic relationship to my creative process. I have a far-sighted eye and a nearsighted eye. So I found that split has led to a kind of sense that it's between the two eyes that I find myself. That's why I say it's mind the gap. Right there is where I go when I realize that there's two things that are contradictory to go to the middle, and that's where the creativity is going to be found. Creating something that everybody can see, that's where it starts to become a pragmatic art. And that means having illustrations, locations, set designs, where you actually can say, this is what we want to feel like, this is what we want it to look like. So if I was being asked to do a house or a movie that took place in the Northwest, one of the things I could do now that I didn't used to be able to do would be just to go on Google and type in Northwest House and then start to see what's available. And so I'll just start to make a file, but I free associate. So let's say I'm thinking about that and it's a story of adolescence or something like that. And I decided that, I'm going to put in The Graduate because my mind goes to The Graduate. And I'm looking for anything that kind of catches my eye that I might be able to apply. That place then that I'm referencing also has an intimate side, which of course is in my own house. And I'm just thinking about the movie or what inspires me. Or I'll go out to my studio garage and I'll think about things there or start to paint. Just people. It's not even backgrounds. It's not exactly production design at all. The idea is that it gets me in touch with my own artistic expression. And I think by painting and going from essentially a blank canvas, I just start swirling paint, don't know what it's going to be, take it all the way to the point where it's just a simple face. I'm doing the entire artistic process. So then when I engage a director or any of the artists that I'm working with, I know instinctively and I'm in sync with them about what it is to create an artistic piece. The thing that I do that's probably not like most people, I don't create a book of here's the mood for a movie. I look at it as a continuum of a career that is sort of as an artist traveler, the way the Orientalists were. And I'm going out into the world or into my mind or collaborating, and I'm bringing to other people what it is that I've discovered. So what I do often after that, when I've worked on a movie, is I'll make a book about that movie. What I like about doing these, and they're all over the place, is that they're a record for me to go back to, that I can see where I've come from, and perhaps even instincts about where I might be heading on this journey that involves cinema and painting. The one that I'm just turning to here just has to do with Lost World. Coming up with a sense or a feeling of how that Lost World wanted to come across with the dinosaurs. And so I would do all these collages. I would have either little figurines, or I would actually just cut out a dinosaur 2D image and put it into those compositions to see how they looked. And came up with sort of the idea that we could actually go to a redwood forest and have dinosaurs, even though it's supposed to be off the coast of Costa Rica, because I had this sense that we could really use the trees there, and that came from creating these collages. What makes someone creative is, I think, a combination of having an innate, I suppose, curiosity on one hand, so that you keep churning to find out more. You're aware of what you don't know, but you don't become intimidated by the fact that you don't know it. It actually is what leads you forward, and it's what actually is to be fulfilled in your life or your art. Production design specifically is a place where it encompasses the kinds of things that I'm interested in and can do well enough. And so I do it because I get a good response, and also I like doing it, and it essentially gets me high. I actually feel an elevated sort of sense of purpose and accomplishment when I get to work on a movie.